So, Dalton, that was Harry Potter. No more Harry Potter.
It's
Done with
over.
Harry Potter. You're not invited over anymore.
That's a little harsh now.
Through with Harry Potter.
We could consider maybe...
Through with Dalton Gentry.
That's...
Through with Strip Cover Lit.
That's...
Adrian's done with all of it. Get the hell out. Now. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit. I'm Adrian Fort.
And I'm Dalton Gentry.
And we're here with the final episode of Harry Potter Sucks.
The final episode for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone from Adrian Reads Harry Potter, the Harry Potter grand finale, Ultimo. This is what you got.
This is what we got.
Adrian has finished a Harry Potter book, ladies and gentlemen. 20 years after the fact, I think. But it's been done. It's in the history books. You read it. You finished it. Let's talk about it. The grand recap.
Okay, what were the last two chapters? That's
Okay.
what this was. What are the recaps of those two chapters?
All you need to know, last two chapters. Oh my God, it's Quirrell. And Gryffindor won the House Cup. 10 points to self-entitlement.
Yeah.
So, Adrian, last two chapters. Let's talk about that first and foremost.
Well, how cute in Oh My God, It's Quirrell was it that there was a trap designed especially for each of the Team Potter members?
They weren't designed for Team Potter. They just used their own personal strengths to succeed. Because
there was one for each of them.
Every child is special. Yeah, you're right.
Also in Oh My God, It's Quirrell, there's the quote, "He is with me wherever I go." Apparently Voldemort is Jesus.
Ooh.
Voldemort is a religion.
We will get into religious icons and who they represent in book 7.
Well, I've actually got them on.
Things
on
get
here.
wonky.
Okay.
All right, but go on, seriously.
Because I've got them at the end of this, but as a recap for the book in itself, we get this quote, and I don't remember if this was an exact quote, but there is no good, there is no evil, there is only power, and those too weak to pursue it. You know what that sounds like, Dalton?
What does that sound like?
Nihilism!
Nihilism?
It sounds like nihilism. It sounds like a Brit making a German out to be a bad guy. That is basically ripped straight from Nietzsche.
This is the first time in history that you have complained about nihilism in a book.
Because this is completely anti-nihilistic. I mean, how British could you get besides being that anti-nihilistic?
All right.
And what is it? Like remember we've got the quote, strike out left, strike out right. No harm can come of it. What will withstand the blow is good. What is smashed to smithereens is garbage anyway, right?
Okay.
What is it that withstands the blow? What is it that withstands the blow?
Harry Potter?
Love! Apparently it's love. Love is that which will withstand the blow. How cute.
But isn't that heartfelt and sentimental?
No, it's garbage.
And let's take a moment to again say this is for young readers. This is Introduction to Nihilism. Only the bad guys are the nihilists.
Dalton, this is introduction. This is the first Harry Potter. It's written for children, but you're making me read it.
Yes.
I'm going to pick on what I'm going to pick on.
You do have a point there. You do. Okay.
Because
Carol,
I am
please,
a curmudgeon. Remember the Mirror of Erised?
Erised.
What's the old man's name? Not Voldemort.
Dumbledore?
Dumbledore.
Okay.
Dumbledore saw socks, right?
Yes.
And when he tried the jelly beans, he got earwax. Were they really socks? Was it really earwax?
I think so.
Why do you think so?
And maybe this is me just pulling from later Dumbledore, but Dumbledore has just had a point in his life where, yeah, socks would be good.
But earwax. Why the earwax?
It could happen to anyone.
It could happen to anyone, but for the most powerful magician in the world, he's got pretty terrible luck, doesn't he?
He does. He does have bad luck.
I think that Voldemort, Dumbledore, their names are too similar, but Dumbledore, Voldemort, Dumbledore, says whatever he has to say to get a laugh.
Okay. And I have made this point a few times.
I think he's the consummate entertainer.
In this particular novel, he is over-the-top comedic. You do not get the old and wise Dumbledore that you later get, especially at the beginning where he's like singing completely off-key and everything, and that's just complete ridiculous, and I forgot all about that Dumbledore. So that character does change quite a bit in the series.
Do you think it's because the character changes on Rowling's behalf, or do you think it's because if Rowling is as good as everyone says she is, she had this all planned out, she knew it was all coming, your first day of class, you've got all these teachers who are don't smile till Christmas, right?
Okay.
Is Dumbledore the exact opposite?
Maybe
is
so.
Dumbledore the cute little ones until it gets real?
Maybe so.
Maybe so?
Maybe so. Maybe
Well,
that's it.
Defend it one way or another, Dalton.
In
I'm
my
making you do
defense,
some work
honestly,
here.
you're making me do some work. In my defense, Rowling grows through every novel.
Well,
And
of course.
therefore, the character of Dumbledore gets away from this this joke to the actual person he is. But I think it is a good parallel that, yeah, he is the most powerful wizard in the world. Everybody respects him. But he's still lighthearted, he's comical, he's not full of himself. So I think that's what she was trying to capture with that, is he's still an approachable person, but she doesn't capture it that well. Later in the novels, much better Dumbledore. So once we finish the second novel, because you have agreed to continue this series, I wish I had like lights and like confetti right now, we will compare later Dumbledore to prior Dumbledore.
See, without having read the later novels, what it strikes me as is, again, that masculine theory.
Okay.
Of Mice and Men.
Okay.
There is the part where George and Lenny are in the shack and Slim walks in. And Slim is the man.
Man's
right?
man.
And
Drown a man.
Puppy drown a man. And George compliments Lenny. It's either Lenny or Candy. He compliments him, says, yeah, look at you, brings him up. And Slim gives him that knowing look, right? Because for the man, the masculine theory, the man, nothing is ever out of his control.
Okay.
So, these are children. There is no need to be bitter and spiteful and angry with them because nothing's out of your control anyway.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe. Obviously, without having read the other novels, the big beef I have with the end of this book is that Quirrell turns out to be the bad guy. This is very Scooby-Doo to me.
Okay.
Because he was not, like, I understand you not wanting to go with Snape because you want to underhand it a little bit. But Quirrell was just sort of forgettable.
Okay.
Until he became the villain of the week.
And again, I've said this 100 times. This might be my running theme with this is we'll see what happens later. We'll see how you feel about Snape later. That's a very interesting character and hard to tackle. Quirrell, yeah, it's a cop-out. It's Scooby-Doo.
Well, and
he wouldn't have got away from, with it.
I think for a children's novel, that's not necessarily. I mean, I made the whole point that this is Cinderella. This is not Cinderella. This is Cinderella had a baby with Scooby-Doo. Don't think about that too long. But I think that it's understandable to have the villain of the week in a children's book. It is good to undermine what you have built the whole novel as the villain. Everybody thought it was going to be Snape.
Okay.
But I wish that, because I by this time in the novel, I'd completely forgotten Quirrell.
Yeah.
I mean, he just kind of popped back up. I was like, oh, who is this guy? I remember the name. Is he the real old one?
Now, see,
that's who I thought he was at first, was the real old guy.
Okay. My thing is when I finished, rereading the novel, and I sat it down, I'm like, Adrian is going to lose his goddamn mind over the fact that Slytherin lost the House Cup because Harry Potter is famous.
Oh, who needs house cups?
It's
Screw house cups.
self-entitlement. So I think it's interesting that you're more worried about Quirrell. So I pegged that one completely wrong. It is a cartoony ending. It is the, bad guy, you pull off the mask, there he is. But again, this is our very early readers, and maybe that's okay. I think it's a good element to have Voldemort at this stage, because it said he's weakened. He's not what he used to be. He's a leech.
Right.
He is he's leeching life off someone else. In order to sustain himself, he must live on Quirrell. So it's a nice element.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is the mask reveal. That's what it is. Surprise.
So in the woods,
all right,
was that Voldemort that Harry Potter came face to face with?
Yes.
How was he able to live on unicorn blood without being a leech on someone else at that time? Was he just strong enough to do that?
I think yes. And maybe it was Quirrell and Voldemort mesh, whatever you want to call it. But and we're going to get into nihilism, I think, quite a bit. The constant struggle for power, by all means necessary. Slaying the unicorn, drinking the blood, leeching off someone else to regain your strength, is very prevalent.
What I'm interested in is, to what depths does Dumbledore fall in order to hang on to the power that he has?
Okay.
Because we're setting him up right now as the very stoic, I have the power, the what?
The hero, the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right. I have the power because I am powerful.
Okay.
Sword, right? It is interesting to me always to see how these types of characters respond to being pulled down.
You're going to love that one.
Okay.
I mean, that is...
What book?
6.
I'm not going to make it that far.
You're going to make it that far. Because at that point, and I will say this without a shadow of a doubt, I'll bet a fine cigar on it, whatever you want. At that point, you're going to be fucking giddy. Fucking giddy. I'm cursing angrily
2 F-bombs in
a children's video because I'm so excited for you to read that. Because that is the moment everything's going to be just Adrian. That is, Adrian wrote that chapter.
Well, it's interesting though, isn't it? Because you've got cases like the United States who always thought they were the big Boy Scout. Okay. But then World War II happened and we went ahead and we dropped 2 very dirty bombs.
Yes, we did.
Right.
Way to tie that all together. Thank you.
Well, but I mean, that's the same thing,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And the president at the time, who was it?
Truman.
Truman. He was the Boy Scout, right?
Yes, he was.
The good Midwestern Boy Scout.
Yes, he was.
The buck stops here, from down the road in Independence.
Look at that.
But it's interesting to me how those characters respond, because the funny thing is, the writer is often the hero of their novel, right? Like, the writer is everyone in their novel.
Okay.
You have to be. But subconsciously, the hero is the one you identify with.
All right.
It has to be, because that's whose story you're telling. And though this story is Harry Potter's, Dumbledore is a very big part.
Yes.
And Harry Potter would not be Harry Potter, I'm taking it, without Dumbledore. He's the one that makes that world go. He's God, which I'll get to in a minute. But, so if you're J.K. Rowling and you are so heavily associated in your own mind with Dumbledore, and you put in this train to just smash everything, what is the writer willing to do? That's why, when you look at a lot of amateur writing, the hero never suffers.
Okay.
The hero never really goes through anything because the writer is afraid to put the hero there. That's why, like Hemingway said, you gotta smash the person, right?
Oh yeah.
Hemingway broke all of his characters. His stories were the breaking of a character.
In my opinion, with the Harry Potter series, the initial theme that really starts to get rolling, and we've had touches of it with the character of Harry Potter, is the theme of loneliness. But because J.K. Rowling hates her readers and wants to hurt them, which she should as a writer, loneliness becomes suffering. And it gets dark. Every character, you really get an in-depth look of what they're willing to suffer for to survive, which is wonderful. It is good. So I think that is a good element you're going to really enjoy once we get there. That is late in the novel. We see suffering from Dumbledore. We see suffering from Voldemort. The lengths to which he's willing to go to obtain power will make you love Voldemort. Snape will become the most tragic character in this piece for you, and you will love him for it.
Well, I mean, you could see that coming.
So, I'm excited to get there. Now let's talk about God. And who is God in Harry Potter?
Okay, now this is just God. The question of God in this is not interesting. I'll get to the interesting part in a moment after I outline this. So Harry's Christ, right? Okay. You've even got the temptation of Potter, right? So Harry Potter is Jesus Christ. Hermione's Mary Magdalene. The peer that no one likes. She's an outcast, right? No, untouchable.
All right.
You've got Ron as Peter. You've got Dumbledore's God, Voldemort as Satan, Quirrell as Beelzebub. The interesting question to me, who is your Judas character?
Who is Judas?
Because Hagrid sells Harry Potter for earthly goods.
All right.
Neville tries to stop them from tries to reroute their destiny, right? Which ends up cementing their destiny, and Neville's own destiny, because Neville is then celebrated as well. And Quirrell, I think there's a case to be made for as well.
Okay. You will get a Judas. That may become apparent in the next book, who is going to become the Judas. I would like to point out, and you may be right on this, just lovely little elements later in the novel, once we see Voldemort at a heightened power, because let's be honest, it's going to happen. He is always accompanied with a snake. So, there's your...
So it gets even more obvious is what you're saying.
There is a chapter in the last book where it is beaten over your head with a sledgehammer of how obvious there are religious ties in this piece, which I think is very interesting and you're going to enjoy.
So okay, take simply this book as the New Testament.
Okay.
From the options that I outlined, or someone else that you're bringing in, who would you peg from this book as the Judas?
From this book alone, I think you could push Quirrell. That would be a reasonable argument.
You're trading him for gold, right?
Yeah.
With the Mirror of Desire.
I think that's really about it so far, though.
Hagrid literally sold Harry Potter's future for money, or for a prize.
Oh my, okay, so the last book, there's going to be a ping where you're like, I told you it was Judas. I told you. 100%. But we'll get there.
Okay.
You will see in the next book, so we're going to set this up for a little bit. We're going to get a little backstory on Voldemort, and we're going to find out that he's the fallen angel. 100%.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, that's...
And we might as well drop this video on Sunday now. This became Trip Cover Church. Excuse me. But I think it's going to get better. You're going to power through it. It's going to be all right. Is there anything else you really want to work out here with Harry Potter?
The temptation of Potter.
Okay.
The temptation of Christ, the temptation of Potter.
Okay.
It happens in the woods. It happens in the wilderness, right?
Yes.
You've got this face-to-face with the satanic power. What is interesting to me about this, and I had never come to this realization before Harry Potter, in Western literature, it's the story of the woods, right? Even in that chapter, we talked about it. Oh, they went out to the woods, right?
Nathaniel Brown, is that the story that I'm thinking of?
Right.
What's it called?
Young Goodman Brown.
Young Goodman Brown.
But that in Western literature, the woods are the scary place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, take that back to Western literature's roots, the New Testament, predominantly. What happens in the New Testament? Christ is tempted where? In the desert.
All right.
So it is it is interesting to me that the place of wilderness changes depending on where in the world you are. Because in the West, where are the nasty things that kill you?
They're
in the woods. In the East, the Middle East, where are the nasty places? There's nothing to kill you there.
The wilderness.
But you're screwed. You find yourself lost in the desert, you find yourself lost in the woods, you're done. I mean, you're not going to survive.
That is very interesting. If you look at the roots of American literature, it was you don't go into the woods. I mean, you stay in the little section that you've carved out of the woods, but you don't go out there. You will die.
Right. And that is interesting even further because in all of Western literature, the woods are the scary place. But in American literature, it started that way. Why? Because we landed on the coast and had to carve our way through.
Yep.
One of my history classes, Dr. Williams, if you're watching this, which you're not, gave me a quote which I will never forget. It was the old saying in the Old West that a squirrel could start in Massachusetts and stay off the ground to California. Jump from tree to tree to tree to tree, right? Obviously that was not literal, but that's what they used to say.
Yes.
That's how dense the woods were in the United States when Europeans got here. I almost said when Americans got here. Wow, that would have been embarrassing to have on the internet. But it is interesting, isn't it, that American literature really even didn't get off the ground before the woods were the bad place.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I really want to continue just ranting on that subject because that is it's a beautiful subject because I just got back from traveling through the South, and even in the South, the untamed areas like swamplands in southern Louisiana, you don't go there.
No.
Now, in addition to the South, going through Mississippi, it's nothing but trees. Mississippi's trees, and the highway cuts directly through it, and it's disorienting English to cut through trees like that. So I can understand the fear of the woods. There is something different about it. It's going into a different element. So
right, it is the woods. It's a slow death. Right?
Yes, yes.
Things kill you and gnaw on you before you bleed out.
Yes, so that's never a pleasant thing. Now, on a very interesting note, that since we are going to get ready for year 2, J.K. Rowling.
Before we do that. We've gotten too far in the video to be mentioning this now anyway. Dalton will be handling the comments for the Harry Potter videos because it seems like the conversation which has been happening in the comments is a bit tempered as not to spoil anything for Adrian. So Adrian will not be looking at the comments for Harry Potter videos. That will all be Dalton from here on out. So spoiler away.
So normally when we do the comments, we just kind of answer and no one knows who's talking.
Right.
But from henceforth, Adrian will never see the comments for Harry Potter. So if you have anything you want to bring up in these next few years of Harry Potter, I say years because the books are years, not the fact that we're going to do this for years. Although we could.
Like years.
So please comment away. Let me know. I'll field all the comments, so there will be no ambiguity. He will be in the dark 100% for this. Now, J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
This is her everything. She's dabbled a little bit in other novels unsuccessfully, but this is her beginning and her end. There's an evolution of the author throughout this series that I think you're going to really appreciate when you get into the later pieces. But this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime chance because you've never read this before and you're actually going to take it and read it from her beginnings as an author, just trying to pump out that first novel, to the ending and the growth that she's experienced through that. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to read about.
It's even, and not to say that, I'm sure there were multiple drafts for this first novel, but you even feel it a little bit in this novel from the beginning, which feels like a lot of heavy lifting.
Okay.
And more practiced authors do the heavy lifting in a more invisible way. Things are sort of clunky. This is blank, blank, blank. He's doing blank, blank, blank to get to blank, 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 right? It feels a little laborious.
Okay. And I think from any author's standpoint, that is interesting as well, to do a series of this magnitude as your first piece. Because, I mean, you are getting raw very, watered down J.K. Rowling in the first year. And you are going to see that evolution of her. But there's no way she can ever go back and change what she already wrote. This is solidified in the canon of literature.
Well, and there's something else that's interesting about that is the fact that in today's world, authors seem very segmented.
Okay.
You were a poet, or you were a short storyist, or you were a novelist. Very rarely do people make the cross from one to another, at least in the public eye. Very, very rarely does one graduate to writing novels and then go back to short stories.
Okay.
Right? So I think that's something interesting also, is that not only is she starting off with this, she can never really go back.
No. Now, it is interesting. There is a little book that came out alongside one of the later books called The Tales of Beetle the Bard, and it is a short story. It's a published short story. I think it's like 40, 50 pages. That's it. Very basic writing, there's pictures. It's a children's book. But it is a short story nonetheless, and it follows the Harry Potter canon, but it has nothing to do with Harry Potter himself. It's kind of a mythos alongside things.
Like the whole Encyclopedia of Ghosts and stuff, right?
Encyclopedia of Ghosts.
What
yes.
was it called?
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
That's the thing.
Yes, and we'll have to watch that movie as well.
I don't know.
I think so. But speaking of movies, people are really looking forward to an audio commentary of this first movie.
Yeah.
I think we have to absolutely guarantee that. I've tinkered around a little bit, and I think I figured out how we can do that.
You got it?
I think I got this. So we will be making that happen. The way that format will work is you'll see us, we'll introduce things, and then we'll push play together on our respective DVD players, and it will be Riff Tracks, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Adrian Ruins Your Childhood.
Now, when he says our respective DVD players, he means us and you?
Yes.
Not him and I. I do not have a DVD player.
No, I will have to hold your hand on that one.
My truck still has a cassette player in it.
That's impressive, actually.
Yeah. So here's something real quick to talk about. J.K. Rowling. You brought up J.K. Rowling. At what point is she deserving now of a Lifetime Achievement Award in Literature?
Like at this point today?
At this point.
I think so.
You think so?
Absolutely. Whether you like this or not.
Right, and I'm not saying anything about that.
The impact that this piece has had on modern literature.
And on children reading.
On children reading, children's literature, young adult literature.
On the idea of rereading a text. I think that that's something a lot of people have said that they reread these things.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of people have said they haven't done it recently as well. So it's interesting to me that someone has accepted this into their life as a part of their very ness. Dalton-ness involves Harry Potter.
Okay.
But abandoning the text for a while. And I'm hoping that one of the things I've gone through previous comment sections about is one thing that's big in a lot of other communities is the response video. Mm-hmm. Not very big in YouTube or BookTube. I haven't really seen any response videos. But a lot of booktubers have said, this is my favorite series that you guys are doing. The rest of your stuff is crap, it's garbage. But I really enjoy this, and it makes me want to go back and read the novel.
Okay.
Read the novel with us. Make a response video. Do your own critique as we do them. I would really enjoy that. Getting that part of a community built. I'm sorry.
Well, that's another thing that we could comment on very briefly here. We've experienced a large amount of growth recently in the BookTube community, which is a great thing. Thank you guys very much for the time you put in listening to us drabble on. But we are going to attempt to get together a bit of a schedule, so we have a more planned out format. If people want to read along with us, they'll know what's coming next. And we absolutely encourage that, kind of like a book club type thing.
Yeah.
So we're getting there.
First rule
we're
of
working
book
on
club.
First rule of Might Club. I might. Anyway.
But another thing. J.K. Rowling, possibly deserving of a Lifetime Achievement Award.
I think so.
Where is she? Okay, compare her to Dr. Seuss.
Compare her to Dr. Seuss?
Legendary Dr. Seuss.
Okay.
The man, the myth, the legend, the doctor.
Okay. They are both children's writers, yes. Same caliber of impact for children's literature.
Who's bigger? Let's do this very sports talk radio type.
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling.
Absolutely.
Who's more important to literature?
J.K. Rowling.
Do you think that is a recency bias?
I don't think so.
Do you think that is because you did more reading of J.K. Rowling than Dr. Seuss?
Well, let's put it this way. Dr. Seuss. Everybody reads Dr. Seuss as children. You read them to your kids.
Yes.
People do the same thing with Harry Potter. How many adults go to the bookstore specifically to buy There's a Locket in My Pocket just to read it for their own pleasure?
How many people can quote J.K. Rowling?
I think you would be terrified by how many people can do that.
And I'm not saying they can't. I'm saying I can probably quote Dr. Seuss. I don't remember having ever read a Dr. Seuss book.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I remember reading Dr. Seuss books, but I don't remember sitting down and thinking, you know what, I'm 3 years old. This sounds fantastic. Let me store it in the old memory bank. You know what I mean? That's probably what's happening with Harry Potter. I love this quote. I love what this is. I love what that is. Let me retain that information.
And I think what Rowling is doing is she's actually transcending the children's literature. Because Dr. Seuss is children's literature. There are some heavy themes. If you go into like the Lorax, things like that, yeah, you do get adult themes. But Rowling is actually tackling them as literature, not as just children's works. So they're transcendent to all age groups. And I think it is really interesting now because the people who are reading Harry Potter as kids now have kids.
Yep.
And they're going to start reading them to their kids, and the kids are going to read them.
That's one of the first things we talked about.
Yeah,
right?
so this is going to be a modern movement in literature. And I mean, she's the most wealthy writer.
Okay, so whose books are more fun?
I think they're both about equal. I enjoy both.
Now, there's an old, my buddy Ian told me this story. There's an old, possibly myth about T.S. Eliot.
Okay.
And he was able to take one writer under his wings, so he talked to these two guys. One said, I have very important things to say. The other guy said, I like to have fun with words. T.S. Eliot said, you like to have fun with words? Come with me. Who is making more fun with words?
Oh, obviously Dr. Seuss is making more fun with words, but Rowling does it as well.
So, right. A bit. I haven't seen very much in the first novel.
Okay.
I'm guessing it gets more that way later.
Okay.
But when you're talking about pure joy with words, boy, Dr. Seuss, he started something.
He's good. And talking about T.S. Eliot briefly, I love T.S. Eliot. Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, that's wonderful. The Wasteland, I know you hate The Wasteland. Don't you hate The Wasteland?
The Waste?
The poem?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I like it.
Okay.
So maybe we should consider doing The Wasteland? I don't know. But anyway, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah.
You learned some things about yourself. Mm-hmm. We're going to do an audio commentary 100% for sure coming soon. But next week, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Yes.
We're going to continue through the series, much to your dismay.
Yeah.
And we're going to attempt to make it through all 7.
Maybe.
Oh yes, I think we are.
Maybe.
So if you would like to join us on this Harry Potter adventure and hear what we have to say about the academic side of Harry Potter and the Adrian Hates Your Childhood side of Harry Potter, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below.
And make sure you're making response videos or your very own journey through the Harry Potter universe, world, garbage pail, whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of the point of a book community, especially in this format.
Yeah.
We expect everybody to talk about Harry Potter right now. Let's do this.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I demand it. I would like to hear everybody's opinion about this, and I'd like everybody to tell us that we're wrong. So.
That you're wrong.